Greetings denizens and detritus of the internet, and welcome to week 4 of Yang's Construction Spotlight. So far we've picked a core and foam and stuck it all together, so this week let's talk about coverings. As you probably know, AmpGuard requires cloth covers for all weapons except Throne, which may use cloth tape. And of course we want our weapons to look cool, so let's talk about cloth covers. The simplest cover for a basic Omni, believe it or not, is the sock or one leg of a pair of tights, the type with the foot built in. The main upside to this type of cover is that it requires no sewing at all. However, there are many things to consider. You will need to make sure that it is opaque and non-abrasive so that it fits within the rules. Also, I have never tried this type of cover, so I am unsure of the range of weights. I know that my personal socks weigh 1.6 ounces each and aren't even long enough for an Omni short. So it may take some trial and error before finding a sock that works for you. But if you have a sewing machine or a friend with a sewing machine, you can sew your own covers, which gives you a much bigger available variety of options. So let's start with simple basic cotton or polycotton cloth, which can be found at your local hobby or fabric store, even Walmart, in a variety of colors and prints. It costs as little as $5 a yard, but you only need a third of a yard for one weapon. And there are often sales and coupons, so it is possible to get your cloth for less than $1 per weapon. This cloth is good for Omnis and flats without strange shapes and weighs around 1 ounce for a short Omni. Next up is stretch fabric, which is a necessity if you're going to be working with irregular shapes to your weapons. It is not available in nearly as many varieties as cotton, but I have found black and silver, and Kenjin Sensei has found even more, as he makes many fancy flat blades that require the ability to stretch as the covers are put on. Important note, not all stretch fabric is created equal, as some will only stretch in one direction and some will stretch in any direction. Plus the amount of stretch will also vary. I personally have used stretch fabric once for a Kanabo or Oni club and needed the stretchiness so that the cover could be put on over the studs and would still fit snugly. Other notes are that there is stretch thread and also zigzag stitches, which will also stretch along with the fabric. I've also heard that a ball style needle tip is preferred over a normal sharp needle. The next type of fabric I'd like to talk about is polysatin. This is a smooth, shiny fabric that has a number of uses in the sewing world and includes weapon covers. The big upside for me is that it is really pretty. However, it is slightly more expensive than plain cotton cloth can be, $6 plus per yard, so $1 to $3 per sword. And while I have not yet made an Omni cover from it, the flat blade covers I have made weigh 0.6 ounces, so I estimate that an Omni would weigh the same or a little less than cotton. I have found a large selection of colors at my local Hobby Lobby and a few colors at Joann. This leads us to our final type of cloth, nylon ripstop. Also more expensive than cotton at $8 per yard. The big advantages of ripstop are weight, only half an ounce for a short Omni, and durability. As the name suggests, if it rips, there is a grid of stronger threads that will stop the rip and allow for easy repairs. I've only seen it rip once, and it did exactly what it was supposed to do. There are two downsides to ripstop besides the cost. First is the selection. The only local supplier I have is Joann, and all they have is solid basic colors. There are a few more colors available on Amazon, but I've never seen it in patterns. The other thing is that it is very slippery and therefore much harder to work with than cotton or polysatin. However, with skill and patience, you can still do some pretty neat things with it. Also note that the ripstop that they sell at my local Joann measures 59 inches, and thus, with careful sizing, I can actually get 2 Omni shorts out of 1/3 of a yard. So now that you've covered the deadly portions of your weapon, the only thing left to do is wrap your handle. This step is absolutely not a requirement, but your weapon will look and feel better if you do. There are a bazillion ways to do it, and I'm going to cover the 3 that I have experience with, starting with tape. You can wrap your handle with electrical or duct tape, both of which give you a nice variety of color options to match your cover and pommel, and will be very stain resistant. The downside being that there will not be much grippiness, especially when your hands sweat. The other type of tape would be cloth tape, which will have a much better grip. However, it will discolor over time with sweat and dirt, and some people don't like the feel, which can be a bit sticky as the adhesive can soak through to the outside of the tape. If you're willing to add an additional ounce to your handle, my recommendation is paracord. Available in an enormous selection of colors and patterns, there are also many effective and attractive wraps that you can do. If you choose the right wrap and wrap it nice and tight, this type of handle wrap will basically last forever. The last style of handle wrap I like to discuss is traditional Japanese suka wrap or katana wrap. This is an expensive option if you want to use genuine materials, but there are ways to make it more affordable. If you're not going to be putting a lot of stress on your handle, i.e. you're not a hard hitter, you can use 1/2-inch bias tape over craft foam. However, as I just said, this can get torn up with use depending on your fighting style. For a little more money, you can use genuine Ito wrap over leather or a leather substitute. This will obviously cost more, $10 to $25 for the Ito wrap versus $3 for bias tape. But you'll save a lot using leather or something similar, over $60 plus for genuine ray skins. So that's it for covers and handle wraps. Tune in next week and we'll talk about tools.